If you love hurricanes, daiquiris, and, well, any rum cocktail, listen up. Captain Morgan's about to shake things up like never before. We're talking Bourbon Street, New Orleans, home to legendary drinks and unforgettable moments. But what if we told you the most iconic cocktails here have one thing in common? Hint, it's not bourbon. That's right, it's rum. And Captain Morgan is bringing unforgettable fun to Bourbon Street in a way you won't want to miss. Get ready for something big as we gear up for Super Bowl 59. Make sure to keep your eyes on NOLA's most iconic street. Who knows, Bourbon Street might just need a new name. Stay tuned for clues and get ready for the most legendary adventure yet. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company, New York, New York.
Because I heard that their new Pride collection was out. So let's take a look. This is a special swimsuit. It is invented for tucking. Live, laugh, lesbian. Are they amoebas? These don't even look like people. Queer. This right here. These are baby clothes. They say that grooming isn't happening. Then why are there Pride baby onesies? Trans people.
Of Reese on the radio. Whack FM.
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
Yeah. How y'all doing out there? I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. The weekend has begun. It is time for the world's most hated, and you know it and you love it. Time for the most racist online show in America. It's the Reese on the Radio Rundown with yours truly, Mr. Reese on the Radio. Oh, God bless each and every one of you. Today, Todd Feinberg, Will Maratti's show. Actually, I did that. I'll be back on WTIC on Tuesday. Everything was going great. People who are watching on Facebook and ReeseOnTheRadio.com and all that other stuff, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the feed just dropped, and there was no sound coming in. Hello, Carl. Carl was the one who actually let me know. Big shout out to him. I live in a neighborhood that has a lot of people who are familiar with lawn care. And I don't want to sound a particular way, but let's just say I live in a neighborhood that is surrounded with people who are familiar with lawn care. And I chose the white guy. Carl is he's my lawn guy. He just is. He makes it look great. I'm not doing it. Carl comes by, gets a couple of dollars from me, and does a great job, and I don't have to do it. And I feel like a boss. So thank you, Carl. You have no idea how much we appreciate that. And let me say this to you, Carl. If you don't know this by now, let me tell you, the wife is a huge fan of you, man. She really, really loves you like one of her own children. We truly do. I feel the same way about you. Just don't get me wrong. But she really, really loves you. You're just one of those people that you mean a lot to her. Just to let you know that. And you always defend her and stick up for her, and you even affectionately refer to her as Mama. And that means something to her, so she feels the same way about you. Anyway, A lot of news, a lot of views to get into. So let me start by saying, folks, if you don't stick around, please don't forget to send Reese on the Radio a T-shirt. It's my favorite clothing item to wear. So if you have a T-shirt that you'd like me to wear, I think I'm supposed to go pick up some T-shirts, or somebody got a T-shirt ready for me already. Supposed to arrive today. It'll probably be here tomorrow. I'll be wearing some on Monday that have already started to come in. So if you got a T-shirt that you'd like me to wear, make sure it's an extra large, as you can see there, and send it to that address, Reese on the Radio, P.O. Box 25, Woodbridge, Virginia, 22194. And please make sure that you get me an extra large because
you are a disgusting fat body, Private Pile.
Yeah, I love that clip. Anyway, so that's what you do, and I'll, of course, mention it again at the end of the show. Folks, I got some really, really good news about my hometown. And no one is happier than I am. If you're from New York City, if you've been to New York City, if you live near New York City, this may not be good news to you. I hope that it is, because it is great news from my perspective, and I am happy about what I'm about to share about New York City. And that is, it's sinking. It's going straight to hell, folks. And it can't sink soon enough. I want, you can hear the fire in the background. It couldn't sink soon enough. New York City is a hellhole. It is a complete and utter mess. I want nothing more than that place to completely destroy itself. That building, that whole structure, Manhattan in particular, is so heavy and so weighted by the skyscrapers that it will sink into the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. May Aquaman save it. I just want that sucker underneath. I couldn't be happier. Now, the only thing about this is CNN is trying to save it. I'm sick of them. CNN, shut your damn mouth. Shut up. Do not try to save New York City. Robert says it'll tip over and capsize. A la Hank Johnson. God bless that fool. I almost got his voice down. I'm afraid that it may tip over and capsize. But I want this place underwater. I just do. You know, there's a race to the bottom at New York City, as is the city of Venice in Italy. And let's hope that New York City wins that race to the bottom. I want it to sink and sink and sink. The whole damn place. It's over there. Like Mike says, yeah, I think that most of the country would be fine with that. Would keep them from moving to Florida and whining about pizza. That's right. And here we thought Guam was going to be the one to tip over. But it is New York. And so the skyscrapers weigh so much that it's sinking down. But CNN, again, trying to save it. Why is CNN trying to save it? By suggesting, folks, I kid you not, Bill Weir, the climate correspondent, said this out loud and recorded it, that the reason why New York is sinking is because the skyscrapers are heavy. And this is a result of climate change. I kid you not. I kid you not. Think, now, again, New York City, sinking. Bill Weir, why is it sinking? New York weighs too much. It is sinking because of the weight of the skyscrapers. And this is because of climate change. Now, that's not even the worst part. He then tells this story. He is in the borough of Brooklyn, just north, I believe. Yeah, he's got to be north of the Brooklyn Bridge. And he is by a New York City landmark. I'm going to show it to you, but I have to set this up. He is going to show a merry-go-round, and then he is going to pan. I want to know whether or not, I'm sorry for those of you who are listening on the podcast, you won't be able to see this, but you will find the video. Please look it up. I want you to see where he pans from the merry-go-round to where he pans to next, and listen to what he's talking about with relation to sea level rises. And see if you see what I see. Okay? Here it is, Bill Weir, climate correspondent for CNN, talking about climate change.
Is the Big Apple too heavy? A new geological study finds New York skyscrapers are so heavy they're weighing the city down, causing the city to sink ever so slightly more and more every year. The study comes as the Army Corps of Engineers is racing to find ways to prevent the city from being submerged one day during future natural disasters. CNN's Bill Weir is joining us now. Bill, we talked a bit about this yesterday. How much is the city sinking each and every, I don't know, how long does it take for it to sink? Year?
Well, over a year, it's about the width of or the thickness of a couple of nickels. It's only a couple of millimeters right there, but it varies. That's the average of the whole city of New York. Some places it's sinking faster. Staten Island, for example, parts of Brooklyn and Queens right here. But now we know the U.S. Geological Survey answered your child's pestering question. How much does New York City weigh? 1.7 trillion pounds. That's a pretty staggering number. And it matters because we live in the age of sea level rise thanks to the 1.7 trillion tons of carbon dioxide and other heat-trapping gases that are in the air there. But here's why it sort of brings it home right now. This is Brooklyn. We're in Brooklyn looking at Manhattan there. There's the Brooklyn Bridge. This is Jane's Carousel, a local landmark here. And here's a picture of what Superstorm Sandy did to Jane's Carousel. You might remember that haunting picture back then. That one storm in 2012 completely rewrote the floodplain maps in New York City. There's now an extra about 65,000 people living in a floodplain. They didn't know they were until Sandy came along. And you can see here, you see this barge with the heavy equipment and stacks of boulders. For the last couple of months, they have been shoring up this area that was completely washed out by Superstorm Sandy. All these shops, apartment buildings, the water was in the lobby there as well. And as a result of that, the Army Corps now is looking into a number of different plans that would build various seawalls depending on the trade-offs. It's expensive, it's a lot to think about, but this is the reality. It's expected that the East Coast is about the Atlantic coast 4 times more vulnerable to sea level rise than the rest of the global average. And cities that are sinking, this isn't just happening here, it's happening around the world. Subsidence makes it worse. So cities that are sinking are going to see 3 to 4 times the sea level rise. Right now, the science says it could be, depending on how fast we cut back on fossil fuels, anywhere from 7 inches to 2 feet by 2050, Sarah.
Okay. Anybody here see what's wrong with Bill Weir's live feed? Can anybody see it? Superstorm Sandy, according to the Inconvenient Truth by none other than the father of the internet, Al Gore, said that New York City would be submerged by now. But in Bill Weir's own live feed, do you see the landscape behind him? Do you see how low the water level is? Do you see? It is. This is the reason why Bill Weir is not a climate scientist. He's a climate correspondent. He literally is He's a stenographer for environmentalists, alarmists alike. I mean, he would sooner take his talking points from Greta Thunberg than do any investigative reporting on climate at all. He's that dumb. He is showing people the water levels that are receding off of Brooklyn while talking about Superstorm Sandy and how it affected. Remember, if the sea levels rose, why are they not still high? How did they recede? Why are they receding to that level? Why don't we see the water levels all the way up to the top? Why aren't those people on the barge feverishly working to build that up even more every day if the sea levels were rising so much? He doesn't even realize where he is. And so by making this claim about the city being heavy, and if we don't do something about the city being heavy, sea levels that are going to raise are going to sink the city. Oh, hell. Boo-hoo. But here's where it makes even less sense for Bill Weir. What does he propose? What is the answer to keeping New York City from sinking and sea levels from rising? Because remember, doesn't matter whether or not we actually do anything about climate change, the city's still sinking. So what are they really proposing? It's only obvious. Get rid of the skyscrapers. Tear them down. Save the city, tear down the skyscrapers. We don't need them. They're not environmentally sound, according to people like Bill Weir. What else can you do? The skyscrapers are there. The weight of the city is the weight of the city. The only way you alleviate that, if you can't clean it up with climate change, which he believes that we're never going to be able to do, and this is going to sink by, 2050, we're going to see a significant rise in sea levels, and the city's sinking just a couple of nickels a year. The obvious is, what's the thing that we can do right now, immediate, and get a response from? Remove the skyscrapers. That's what it's about. Either way, I'm cool with it. I am 100% cool with it. Tear down the skyscrapers. Tear down all the buildings. Destroy the city. Turn it into a wasteland. Absolutely cool with that. Attach floaties to strategic parts of the island. Very good point. That's a very good point. I don't think that'll work either. Boot out the cast of The View, and New York might have a chance. It's a good point. Yeah, Amy, I'm inclined to agree with you. This really sounds like the plot of a subpar B-class disaster movie. I agree. Looks like she's weighing Atlanta down. Good thing it's not coastal. I'm really, really hoping that this happens. New York City, whatever you do, folks, build more. Build more. I'm sure Hank Johnson is concerned with it capsizing. But yeah, I want to see this. I really want to see this. But yeah, Bill Weir, I mean, Jesus. I mean, you think this moron would figure it out, but no, he can't. But I told you folks, I wish they'd hurry up and do it. Set it on fire and start over. That's what I want. Okay, with that, there's been a lot of talk about Diane Feinstein. Diane Feinstein, very elderly, not doing very well. People are not happy that she won't just resign, give up her seat. I believe it's, what's his name? Adam Schiff, Kim Porter, and another woman are fighting for that seat. which more than likely a Democrat will get. But people are like, Diane Feinstein, just leave the seat, resign. Let us have a special election so somebody can take it over. She refuses to leave and she's stubborn. And people are coming out saying, no, she needs to let it go. Well, Ro Khanna, who I thought was literally a reasonable guy. He was one of the Democrats who came out when the Twitter files were released and said, look, a lot of this stuff, I kind of agree with. There was a lot of shady dealings going on with Twitter. And I spoke to them, which he clearly did. He was a part of the Twitter files, trying to tell people, listen, regardless of what I think of Joe Biden or Donald Trump or some conservatives, there's some free speech violations here. Ro Khanna was a stand-up guy. But something was eerie about his appearance on MSNBC yesterday talking to Alex Wagner. Not a fan. But talking about Diane Feinstein. That exchange went like this.
I have to ask you, as we were talking about who is in Congress and who is not, Diane Feinstein, senator from California. There is new reporting from the New York Times about the degree of illness she has suffered while she's been out with shingles. The reporting is that she has been disoriented and really questionably serving in Congress for some time now. What needs to happen here?
First, let me say I admire her career. I mean, she has had an extraordinary career. But it's sad for anyone to see, and it's sad for her own colleagues to see. I'm hopeful that people who are close to her can talk to her and just say, look, end your service with dignity, step aside, let the governor appoint someone. It's painfully obvious to people. I went out and I said something that many people are thinking.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I hope so. I mean, I think for her own dignity, for her own career, for her own legacy, it would be good. It would be good for California. It's sort of, we all have seen an athlete who plays one or two more seasons. That's what this started out at. But now it's just painful. It's painful to watch. And my hope is, I know there are people who are close to her. I don't think it should be forceful. I think they should have a loving conversation about it being time.
Ro Khanna says that it's painful to watch. She clearly doesn't look good, and maybe she should step down. She clearly cannot do her duties to the best of her abilities. But I found something very fascinating about all of these Democrats who were talking about Diane Feinstein. They wanted to step down because her cognitive abilities are just not all there. But they don't seem to say anything about John Fetterman. Not a word. Not a word. Now, I'm not going to play John Fetterman here. I can't do it, folks. I can't. It's cringe. I cringe every time I watch it. I've seen the videos. They always come up on my feed. People send them to me, and I look at them. I just go, I cannot watch it. It is uncomfortable. I literally squirm when I see it. And people look at Diane Feinstein, and they said that woman is clearly not capable of doing her job. And it is sad to watch. Really, folks? That's sad? You know what is sad to watch. You got this guy on committees, John Fetterman. You've got him making speeches in front of the press at Congress. This man can't complete a sentence. I mean, not that I'm saying Diane Feinstein needs to stay. I'm not saying that she needs to stay. But I'm like, what are they afraid of? And I understand, I know that Pennsylvania, they've seen John Fetterman. And if they had to really find someone to take his place, they're really concerned about who would take over, and that person would run again, and surely a Republican, they'd lose the seat. So I get the desperation. But come on. If Diane Feinstein, who couldn't remember that she hasn't been around for a couple of weeks, if she's in cognitive decline and no one has even bothered to bring up, come on. They should do a twofer, Feinstein and Fetterman. You know what I think? I think that they should, all three of them, they should start their own law firm. Feinstein, Fetterman, and Biden. They should all start, the three of them should get together. Looking for someone who can forget your case the minute that they receive it? Call the law offices of Feinstein, Fetterman, and Biden. All of these why can't the Republicans figure this out? Make the three of these knuckleheads the face of the Democrat Party. Tell Democrats, this is what you're electing. Feinstein, Fetterman, and Biden. Working for you if they can remember who you are. That's what it would be. The left would reanimate Ruth Bader Ginsburg if they could. We'd have an undead Congress. Yeah, I don't know. You take advantage of this. You take advantage of this. Feinstein's the problem? Stop it. Yes, Carl. Thank you, Carl. I know I haven't played that in a while, Carl. I know you love it. What is this? Yeah, I think I'll play that last. This one's my favorite. Okay, so I've got I want to say an associate. I guess I could call him a friend. Michael Gay. He's the host of the Michael Gay Show. Talk about original. But he and I went back and forth for years about COVID. In particular, about masks, vaccines, vaccine hesitancy. And he really supported the state when it came to COVID. Everything they reported on, he lapped it up with the biscuit. He never questioned the authority. These people know, he said. He could not push back. I don't know whether or not it was laziness, his desire to believe these people. Maybe it was I kind of feel like Michael was very, very angry at people who refused to take the vaccine or take COVID very seriously. And he really believed that COVID was killing so many people that not taking a vaccine and not taking the precautions by government was a death sentence. Also, a lot of it applied to his race and age. And I'm sorry, I don't mean that to be disrespectful, Michael, but I think these play a factor. You know, people who went and got the vaccine in the black community primarily did it because of their age. If you were in your 60s, you probably went and got the vaccine. If you were in your late 50s, you probably believed the hype and you went and got the vaccine. You were convinced, especially if you lived in a liberal city or state. And many people I know who did took it. For whatever reason it may have been. But I used to push back on these people who were talking about masks. Got to wear a mask, got to wear a mask, got to wear a mask. They just believed that this cloth mask was going to stop everything. And no matter what we said to them about this thing, if I can tell you a quick story, a young lady by the name of Rachel, we were at a picnic in 2021. And this was at the height of you got to get vaccinated hysteria by the Biden administration, saying that it was a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And we were at this picnic, and this young lady, Rachel, was there. And I hadn't seen her in a while, not due to the pandemic. We just don't live near each other, and I hadn't seen her in a while. And I went to go see her, and I said, "Hey, Rachel, what's going on?" And I went to go give her a hug, and she stopped. And she said, are you vaccinated? And I went, no. And then she proceeded to put her elbow out to tap elbows, like many people were doing. And looked her right in the face, and I said, that would still spread COVID too, stupid. And everyone standing there looked at me and realized, like it was a light bulb went off. And it was just like, yeah, why are we tapping elbows? Like she wouldn't hug me, but she still wanted to touch skin. It's conditioning, right? It's literally indoctrination. That's how dumb it was. And as soon as she did it, I just went, well, wouldn't you get it that way too? We're still touching. Do you not understand? It's an airborne disease, right? And then finally, she just put her elbow down and just walked away. Of course, people who have no response to that kind of stuff, don't. Anyway, masks. I warned people that this mask thing was stupid. I did. And in some cases, I had to. I remember the first time I wore a mask on a job and I was lifting up a big armoire and I couldn't breathe. And I said, F this. I was so furious, I almost cursed the customer out. After that, no more masks. Somebody would say, hey, can you wear a mask? No, it's not happening. I'm not lifting up your heavy furniture. I'm not going into your job, going into your house, lifting things and moving stuff and be out of breath as I'm sucking in my own CO2. No, I appreciate it, but I don't feel like, compromising the oxygen going to my brain today. I had to tell one woman who asked me, have you been vaccinated? I said, have you had an abortion? I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. You can't ask me about my medical history. But people they were doing things that you naturally normally wouldn't do. People were literally outside the scope. Anyway, my point being, Dr. Fauci has had a change of heart. Really? Dr. Fauci looks back. Something clearly went wrong. From a broad public health standpoint, at the population level, masks work at the margins, maybe 10%. Dr. Fauci said that? But wait a minute, what was it that he and everybody else in the world was telling us?
A really striking comment that you made in this interview, you said from a broad public health standpoint, and I'm quoting you now, at the population level, masks work at the margins, maybe 10%.
In the schools, everybody should wear a mask.
Asking kids to wear a mask is uncomfortable, but kids are pretty resilient.
Kids are resilient, and if anything, this is going to build resilience in our children.
Will this have long-term psychological effects on young kids, do you think?
I don't think so. I think, in fact, it's good.
Masking is very important, particularly in the schools. Masks are safe. Masks do work.
I have a 9-year-old. He tolerates masks for everything. I don't hear him whine, just like I don't hear him whine about his seatbelt or his bike helmet.
Children have no problem with what is going on. They want to deal sensibly by way of the science with COVID. They've said we have no difficulty with students wearing masks.
When I look at the history of the world, and when I think of like my parents and grandparents growing up in depressions, fighting wars, kids always had a part to play too. And when I look at the fact that they're just wearing a mask, but they have a roof over their head, they have food.
A mask is basically non-intrusive completely. I've yet to see a child whose mask was bothering him or her. In fact, in the emergency department, the kids are the best ones at wearing masks, and they often help their parents put masks on correctly.
There's nothing adverse or bad about masks. We've used masks for decades. We mask kids in our cancer wards routinely.
We have now a plethora of ongoing research and studies and documents that are showing us that masks do not put children at risk.
This concept that children somehow are harmed or abused by wearing masks is not founded in any science.
It's simple. It does no harm. My kids wear them to school.
The idea that children won't wear masks is actually an abdication of leadership to say that we can't ask them and won't set an example for them.
Those 50 million children need to protect themselves by wearing masks.
If I'm going to get on an airplane, I don't have to wear a mask.
but I will have my kids wear one.
I don't think this is politically dividing at all. I wear masks. My kids wear masks.
I don't understand why parents are not listening to the science, not teaching their children to wear a mask.
My responsibility, if I am lucky enough to be the next governor of Georgia, is to look at the science, to follow the protocols, and to set the right example.
I think we're even talking to the children. When we talk to schools and classrooms of children, they are happy to wear masks.
Be comforted by the fact that children have so much neuroplasticity that this is a bump in their social development, but that they can repair very easily.
You don't go naked. And right now, you shouldn't be going to school without a mask.
You're not likely to be able to be exposed to something and spread it to mommy or daddy. And it's not likely mommy and daddy are able to spread it to you either. So I wouldn't worry about it, baby, I promise you. That's why we need to make sure children are wearing masks in school.
Good job by the folks of Grabian, as always. Scientists, physicians, medical journals, all of them said, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. You got to wear a mask, wear a mask. Has no effect on small children, not affecting their learning, not affecting their breathing, not affecting their production at all. Then Dr. Fauci finally says, I think I got it wrong. But we warned you, we screamed, we hollered, we told everybody, none of this makes sense. None of it. You don't know what you're talking about, they told us. I'll pay attention to them before I pay attention to you. You don't know ish. You're too dumb to know. It looks like they were the dummies. Oh, well, maybe the people who were listening to them were dummies. Kids need to build up their immune systems. Don't wear masks, kids. That's right. Hello, Michael. I couldn't believe it, but that was these people over and over again. Do you know, in fact, I just saw a story recently, folks, that the news media, MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, do you know what their approval rating is, their trustworthy rating is? 26%. 26%. Joe Biden has a better approval rating than all three of those networks. That is astonishing to me. Holy crap, there needs to be more white Christian men in healthcare. You might be right. That's true, because it's funny because there very few of those Christian white men were in that montage. That's a good point, White Mike. Yeah, like I said, I don't seem to get it, but these people, they were there. Another great montage I saw was from the Washington Free Beacon. Believe it or not, folks, and if you haven't made this association yet, the Durham report is similar to the Mueller report. It suggests that there was no Russia collusion. The reason why we have the Durham report is to explain how we got to the Mueller report. And the Durham report exposes what the IG report said about the Mueller report. That's the whole deal. So they all are about the same thing. And the summation and the breakdown of all three of those reports are, in essence, all saying the same thing. The Mueller report says they found no Russian collusion. The IG report says people did some really dirty things to get to the conclusions that they did in the Mueller report. And then Durham was to find out why the investigators did the investigation. They all pretty much come up with the same idea, is that this should have never started, and it was all fronted and begun by none other than Hillary Rodham Clinton and her campaign. But if you ask the media how they view both reports that both say that Donald Trump did not collude with Russia, it's pretty interesting how they see it.
John Durham's long-awaited report on the Trump-Russia investigation is here,
Does it deliver the goods?
But certainly was a nothing burger.
Durham did not find evidence of some kind of fundamental breakdown in law enforcement.
There was no smoking gun.
It's proof the conspiracy theories are BS.
This report does nothing. It is absolutely a big zero.
Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty.
It has been proven that the Mueller report shows that he somehow was complicit with Russia's attempt to meddle in our elections.
It turns out even the redacted version of the Mueller report is like a really good ragu. It's just better the second day.
The Mueller report has now had a day to sink in, and whatever the president has been told about it, he doesn't seem to like it.
If there was no collusion, why did Donald Trump and why did his administration and why did everybody close to him lie about contacts that they had with Russia throughout the course of the campaign?
Clearly no shame. 26%. 26%. And people wonder why. Good night, Fritz. I saw this story about a week ago, and let's just say I don't feel bad for Target. My wife loves Target. That's her favorite place to go. And unfortunately, we may not have a Target in our community. With the losses of a little more than $1 billion the last quarter due to shoplifting. If you saw those videos I played a couple of weeks back, that's one Target, I believe in California, where everything is encased. And you have to have an attendant come in to allow you to open it up to get some items at Target. It is just getting bad at Targets across the country. And as a business model, it's just, forget about it. It's over in so many ways. But then I saw this story, and I got to be honest with you, it might be good riddance to bad rubbish. And let me make this clear. Target can do whatever it wants to do. It can sell whatever it wants to sell. But apparently the folks at Target said to Bud and Miller Lite, hold my Pilsner.
Target, because I heard that their new Pride collection was out. So let's take a look. This is a special swimsuit. It is invented for tucking. Live, laugh, lesbian. Are they amoebas? These don't even look like people. Queer. This right here. These are baby clothes. They say that grooming isn't happening, then why are there Pride baby onesies? Trans people will always exist. This is the ugliest shirt I've ever seen. I don't care if you're queer. Why would you wear this? This is ugly. Kids going to a pride parade. You got a little pride skirt for your kid. Super queer. It's like a superpower. Honestly, Target, what is going on? This is pretty disgusting. A whole collection for Pride. The tucking bathing suit, though. This is something new. I have yet to see a bathing suit that is for tucking.
Yeah, that was the one that threw my... I mean, talk about throwing me for a loop. A bathing suit that has instructions on how to tuck your penis for children. Again, completely stunned by that. A bathing suit with instructions. My eyes were sore from eye rolling when I was at my Target recently. I know, look, I've got to go. The wife loves the place. And, look, of course she's got no problem. She feels like some people are being a little, harsh on the trans community or people who are supporting the trans community. I'm not one of those people. There's some things that just for me is a bridge too far. And I guess that they don't care that people are, pushing back on it. Again, when something works, it's like new Coke. If anybody remembers that, Coke decided it was going to change the recipe and they brought, and it was like, oh, they've got new Coke. And people hated it. And what do you think Coca-Cola did? They came back with original Coke. They actually marketed it that way. Original Coke or real Coke, something like that. Maybe, Rama, I think you might know this better than I do. It's either they were calling it real Coke or original Coke on the packaging. after the debacle of New Coke. And yes, Rama said clear Pepsi. Oh, man. Yes. Coke Classic. That was it. That's right. Coke Classic. Yeah, clear Pepsi. These were all things that people were trying. And when it failed, the marketplace said, no, this sucks. Bring back the original stuff. We're cool with that. And they did. They did. They were like, you know what? It's funny because Clear Pepsi, I've got a quick little story about that. Clear Pepsi was marketed in a couple of cities just to see what the response would be. And one of the places was Buffalo, New York, and Buffalo really responded well to Clear Pepsi. Which, by the way, they don't call it soda out there. They call it pop. I'm not going to lie. I always hated that. It's soda. It's soda. Not pop. But yeah, Clear Pepsi got approved because of how well it did in Buffalo. That was the testing ground for Clear Pepsi. I'm sure other places were, but I know Buffalo was. But when they changed it back, I was just like, thank God. They got rid of it. It was over. I think you can still find some on eBay. I think there's some people who still have it. You know? And do you remember what was the name of that beer? The clear one. God, what was the name of that clear beer? It was awful. I want to say it started with an L. It was clear. It looked like Sambuca, but it was a beer. It was clear beer. And I can't remember. Robert, you're going to remember that one too. I think I have a strange feeling the name of it started with an L. It was a Z. Damn it. You're so right. Zima. That's right. I was thinking Lima. It was Zima. That's correct. Zima. Why was I thinking Lima? Zima is 100% right. God, that was... You know what Zima was? Zima was Michelob Ultra before its time. That was it. I don't... I just don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, so hopefully Target gets its act together. They're already dealing with this loss of revenue and loss of market share with all of these thefts and shoplifting that's going on in all of these major cities. Don't add on to it with a boycott of items due to this silly thing. They've got a right to do it, but if I were them, I wouldn't even bother. I just to save yourself from yourself. Programming note, Tuesday next week, I will be on TIC filling in for Todd Feinberg. It'll be Tuesday and Wednesday. By the way, I'll be there, so please make sure that you join me there. Don't forget, check out the T-shirt contest. If you don't get it here, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. There's a video of that as well, where you can find out the information and send me a T-shirt. Please, I appreciate it if you do. Please remember to send me an extra large T-shirt.
Because you are a disgusting fat body, Private Party.
That's right. And also, if you can, send a donation to the folks over at Friendly Hands Food Bank. That is Friendly Hands Food Bank. Karen Thomas is there, and she'd appreciate any help. She'll make $1 go a long way. Just go to fhfb.org or give them a call at 860-482-3338. Again, 860-482-3338. With that, I am out of here. White Mike says, nah, boycott. They have to learn. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. You would have been 8 this year. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night and a pleasant weekend. Don't forget to check out the show on Sunday on WTIC.com. That's that right there. Sundays, WTIC.com. Find out who is the president that I hate on the show. And we'll see you next time. Holla, holla, pop your collar. Be good to each other.